and Pisces. If you have those anywhere in your chart, you can go watch the last reading. This time I am doing Taurus. No, forgot one. Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. So, okay, I want to start. Okay, so this deck is actually new. I've never shown this deck on my channel before. I've used it personally, but I've never done a reading with these before. So I think I want to, just give this deck some shine on my channel. This is this one I did a little, this was at the bottom of the deck. It says detachment. This one says unity. So these cards are the Sibyl Oracle. It's the Sibyl's Oracleum. Because Latin, right? Because Latin. So Sibyl's Oracleum. And with each one, how you saw like the detachment. Oh, not me splitting the deck and then making it like, yeah. So this one says measurement in English, but it says Minnesota. Okay. So welcome. This is the first time again that I am ever showing this deck on the channel. So I hope you enjoy this reading. Let's start off with Aries. Had to make sure it was lit bright. But yeah, while I'm shuffling, if you like this video, if you like ASMR readings, if you want to support the channel, if you want to see more like this, make sure you go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe, because I will be doing not just readings for signs, but just like I like doing collective readings mostly. So, but if I get that more support on these videos, I would like to do those for each sign as well. So just let me know what you like to see. This is the Sibyl's Oracleum deck, so very new. Let's shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Thank you for being here. So the card that came out is with these beautiful, can you see like the details on this? I'm trying to figure out how to get you to, it's like very mosaic, like mosaic art. Mosaic art. So it's like very, you probably can't see okay, you can kind of see it a little bit better when it's backed out up. But yeah, it's like very mosaic and piece by piece by piece. So it's beautiful seashells on here. And it is saying Transcendentium. Mind you, I don't speak Latin, so I can tell you it says transcendence in Latin. In English. But in Latin is there as well. So this is the Sibyl's Oracleum. And it's based off of like the oracle of the black doves of Africa. That's what it says. So I've never shown this deck on the channel. I've mostly been using this like on a personal side, but for Aries, I don't know, I just decided to open this up with you all, since isn't it said like the Aries is like the beginning of the zodiac, or the beginning of the year rather. But yes, transcendence. What are you transcending right now? What vibration, what energy, what old energy are you letting go and transcending into, right? So with transcendence, I like it. Let me put this right here. Make sure you can see it. Thank you so much for liking the video and being here as well. transcendence is basically just talking about they do have goddesses as well that rules over certain cards. So I do think it's important to acknowledge all of that messaging. But it says, you swam the transcendent depths of the womb. Talking about in your conception and birth. And it is there you learned what is right for you. It is here that you have met others who have also forgotten their way. So yes, it's definitely, there we go. It's definitely talking about, that portal of, being in the womb and then knowing and then coming and crossing over into life and, now forgetting. That's like what people say, that's the pact that you make when you become a human, like, is to forget all that was before. So it says the cowrie shell represents depth, transcendent knowledge, and good fortune. Okay, good fortune, Aries. Getting that good fortune, right? And the religio-mythological association, basically, the goddess is Amphitrite. Amphitrite. Amphitrite was a pre-Hellenic goddess and was the personification of the Mediterranean Sea. She was known as Salancia in Rome. And the meaning just behind this card is, this, whatever you're going through right now that you're transcending, this is an important test. Even if it doesn't appear to be, maintain right thoughts, put the ego in check and take the high road for the best outcome. So, not, I would say a part of that is saying, like, not everything deserves an argument, or, not all things that you're going through deserve, like, some sort of response from you, right? Sometimes we have to, like, take the high road, leave things where they are, and, I'm learning a lot of this in my personal life. I think this is just a great time of very high vibrations and other people feeling it as well. But if you're not regularly learning and, striving for your own personal greatness, your own personal best, it is very easy for you to be in that position of, not understanding your lessons, and then therefore when you come up against other people, it's very easy for you all to, like, bump up against each other, and in a very, friction, as I bump the mic, in a very, just friction and, discontentment and all of that. So you, as a person who is maintaining a high vibration, you do have the responsibility, I would say, to maintain that high vibration and to be the bigger person. I know it's not always fun to be that bigger person and to continuously walk away and doing all of that, but that shows a part of your transcendence, as this card is telling you. These cards, even a shell in itself, you see where those black cracks are, it's like holding that depth of, like, how it, like, coils inward, you know what I mean? And just, focusing on the value that you have and are placing within yourself, and not overdoing it, and not, allowing other people to knock you off of your square. So for my Aries, let's see, what is your tarot card? Throw this to the side while I get your tarot card. Okay, what came on the bottom? I'm just seeing, like, the kind of upside down because I'm the way I'm standing, but the Four of Wands, about, celebration, harmony, all of that. On the other side, though, is the Five of Pentacles, which is like that card of, having to recover and, maybe a card of loss. So it's like choosing your battles, and, like, choosing which path you want to walk down rather than, being guided by another person. Let's shuffle. it is the Ace of Pentacles. So before, when I showed a pentacle that is the, Five of Pentacles, and then I showed the Four of Wands. So in the terms of choosing, you're choosing to transcend right now, Aries. That's your message, You're choosing your new beginnings, and you're choosing the material prosperity that you are, have been wanting. So I'm seeing this like, my favorite saying is, in order to get something you have never had, you have to do something that you have never done. So if you have always been the person to be like Eric Mays when he says, when they go low, I go lower. If you've always been in that energy as an Aries, it is so important for you to transcend and just be like, you know what, I'm gonna let it roll off of my back, like, water on a duck back, just let it roll off, and not find it, not give everyone the satisfaction of letting them get you riled up, not giving everyone the satisfaction of this, that, and the third. Sometimes it is just important for you to learn a lesson inwardly and say, forget everything that someone is trying to do to pull me out of this state. That internal abundance. Even when I said about the shells, they have a lot of deep meaning. Like I said, it's very deep that goes into, and shells take a long time to, actually show up and materialize as well. So it's like, what can you gain? What have you gained about, and not allowing other people to, push you into the reverse of this energy, which is also losing opportunities, and focusing so much on them that you forget to plan for yourself, and focusing on your missed chances, or whatever losses you have taken in the past. A lot of people will try to push you back into even old vibrations of when you weren't doing your best, because it makes them feel like something, to knock you off of your square a little bit more. It makes them feel bigger and better than you if they're able to knock you down and make you remember where you left from. So it's important to have your mind focused on your abundance, your manifestations, and your opportunities, because opportunities are all around you. And your opportunity to transcend is telling you that you do have the ability to go ahead and leave whatever in the past, and it's up to you. That's the ultimate message of your 2 card reading, Aries, is that it is up to you. I like that, the Bible saying, when it's like, choose which one you will serve, you know what I mean? Like, it is up to you to decide whether you're gonna allow someone else to affect your prosperity, or if you're gonna be the one who's like, I am the ultimate master of my vibration, and no one is going to take that away from me. That is your decision. So, thank you, Aries. I appreciate you being here. And now let's move on to Taurus. Okay, Taurus. Let's get the oracle card for the Taurus. Again, this is the Sibyl's Oracleum. I keep saying that just because it's new people joining the reading. So Taurus, this is for you. My favorite part is the shuffling. What card is perfect for Taurus? Okay, so these cards have like I said, they're very mosaic, right? So I'm just flipping this one, and it says analysts, and it's like very green, which is giving me like prosperity. And I like to layer these like this side usually. But analysts, what have you been analyzing, thinking very deeply about? And what is the benefit? Asking yourself, let me like this. Asking yourself, what's the benefit of analyzing, and what do you gain from that? You know what I mean? My past one went out, so I want to go ahead and like this. Oh, not the light are going out on me. what does this card say to you, Taurus? I genuinely like to know other people's thoughts about their own reading as well. And if this is resonating, go ahead and let me know. Like I said, this is the first time ever of me putting this one out, even though I have used this deck for myself personally. Endless means very close to action, actually, too, because it's like, you know, you have to think something out and make sure you're accurately analyzing a situation before you're able to, make sound decisions, of course. But this is, the unexplored mind is the most easily conquered. The unexplored mind is the most easily conquered. Well, even I feel, if you haven't watched my previous video, if you have anything in any signs in Capricorn, Aquarius, or Pisces, these readings, since they're grouped together, I feel like they always go together like hand in hand, because this past card of transcendence and me talking about like the battle of wits that you can get into with another person is very real, right? So to be honest, it's like the analyst is like the card of analysis. Excuse me, I just keep saying analyst, but analysis is that card of exploring your mind and knowing your intentions and understanding your intentions, so that another person isn't able to cross your wires. They're not able to knock you off your square. They're not able to move you, right? So this symbol here is like the laboratory spatulas that were used to examine and probe substances. That's what the card is showing in symbolizing, right? And the association with any mythological associations, right, is Imhotep. Imhotep. Imhotep, right, was the comedian, polymath, and nobleman who worked as a vizier, physician, and architect. He designed the step pyramid at Saqqara and was deified after his death. After his death. He was venerated along with his tutelary deity, Thoth, or Tahuti. He's also known as Tahuti, of course. And, he was identified with Hermes and the Greek god of medicine, which is is how Hermeticism came about. But this meaning of this card is honestly review your intentions and motivations. Make sure you are clear about what they are. So right now, whatever you're analyzing or whatever you're hoping to get into, right now what is required is to, honestly analyze, right? People are so funny. They have nothing better to do with their lives sometimes. So you have to be the one who is like focusing on yourself and, to be that person who is constantly and forever focusing on yourself and not allowing anyone else to knock you off your square. A lot of times what people can do is like try to bait you because of their ignorance, or bait you because they don't know anything, or they're not taking the time to analyze themselves. So anything else that anybody else knows or does is like childish to them, or it's like they don't see the point of it, or they don't understand this or that. And you can't allow someone else's ignorance or stupidity, or just people wanting to be annoying little, people who actively easily say, "Oh, I'm just playing devil's advocate." It's like those people are like just a nuisance and just stupid, you know. So you have to. That's why it says the unsearched mind is so easily conquered, because if another person is able to knock you off that square, off of your square, off of your throne, this is at the bottom now. If another person is able to knock you off your throne, it really shows that you didn't have the wisdom in order to, understand that. You know what I'm saying? You didn't sit in your own isolation to really understand and believe in the things that you are, you know, believe in the things that you are learning, believe in yourself, believe in whatever you're, fully and wholeheartedly placing your life, your energy, your time, your faith into, right? So let's get your tarot. Taurus tarot card. Let's see. All right, ready? So another way I'm really getting that energy, of course, of meditation. So the Endless card is telling you meditate. So when I said, action as well, that's always going to be unnecessary for us as human beings to, act out what we have been thinking about and analyzing and, meditating on. But before you take any actions, it is always a good idea, let's say, to rest and go into that solitude. That's why, action and, recovery time, they go hand in hand. If you're even thinking about working out and wanting to gain muscle, of course you're going to be able to gain muscle if you, work out, eat the right things, but you also need that time to rest and to sleep and to, just rejuvenate. You understand? So it's not, I don't see the Four of Swords being that thing where, like a bad card. Obviously, it's like if you have a lot of irons in the fire, that saying where you have, just a lot of things that you're thinking about and toiling over. I would say, take some time, obviously think it over, but don't, how that saying goes, if you study long, you study wrong. You know what I mean? Like over analyzing and, going into the place where you're feeling trapped in your thoughts and you're not, going out of that, thinking mode and just taking action on something. That is the energy you can get stuck into of just like being burnt out and being, trapped in isolation. So you're not wanting to be stuck in your, introspection mode, your meditation mode. You use that mode as a point of rejuvenation, because the people who act and do the most, the people who are not just talkers, the people who are not just spectating on other people's lives, but the people who are creating and doing things for themselves, those are the people who need the most rest. Because obviously, it's very easy to watch another person do something. One of my favorite quotes from a movie, let me know in the comments if you know this movie, but he said, it's easily to talk about what another person doing. It's just like you to talk down on a motherfucker because they trying and you ain't. You know what I mean? So it's very easy for another person to analyze and overanalyze you. That's where this card comes in, because you may not just feel like it's you analyzing what you're doing, but when you're acting and you're doing the things that other people may want to do, they'll look at you and try to crucify you or make you feel a way about the things that you're doing, because they're not doing anything at all. So it's very easy for them to nitpick. That's the word. That's the word. Nitpick at every little thing you're doing, because they don't have any introspection about themselves. That's why I said, the easily conquered mind is the one that is unsearched. So they're not searching within themselves. And of course, when you're not doing that, they're easily conquered by everything that you're doing and easily getting into and observing everything that you're doing, because they're not doing shit themselves. All right, so it's just it is a very good idea to always, like I said, always take action, do everything that you want to do, but also have that good time of reserving your energy and fixing your energy and taking your energy off of the world and putting it from yourself. So it says retreat from the world to recharge energy and gain perspective. Those cards really, really, really go hand in hand. Let's go to Gemini, Gemini, Geminis. Alright, Gemini. What card you got coming towards you, Gemini? Geminis, you have the card of submission, submission, submission. It says up, obsequium, obsequium in Latin, but it's submission, submission, submission in English, right? Funny that quote that I just said from that movie as well was said by a Gemini as well, in Poetic Justice. But yes, in your own energy, what are you? I would say submission doesn't have to be like submitting to the world or submitting really to an authority. I feel the energy of like submitting to your higher calling. You know, a lot of people, they may be fighting, you know, what they know they need to do or want to do because of what another person would be saying about them if they actually lived out their full potential. You know, another person would be saying this and another person would be doing that, and everybody won't be pleased if I do this. And what if people talk about me when I do that? Honestly, it's not your job to give a fuck about, you know, what other people are thinking and saying, you know. And that's the real mission of your own life story, right? Is to, you know, take your own energy and vibe and stay in that and enjoy that process without giving other people the satisfaction of taking you out of your energy, your playfulness, your peace. Like a lot of the things that we do, it gives us peace. You know what I mean? So I would say, don't let anyone knock you off your square. Of course, if you feel like you have a life purpose, one that you need to submit to, don't let someone else take you out of that. But this card, of course, it says that a knee bent voluntarily is not broken. So if you are bending the knee to yourself, bending to the knee to whatever, you know, you're being called to, you're not easily broken from that. So it says, you know, since time immemorial, Nile Valley civilizations relied on the storms in the Ethiopian highlands to wash rainwater rich with volcanic topsoil into the Blue Nile to fertilize their crops. Every year, Indonesia undoubtedly brought with it a plethora of tragic drownings, property damage, and other inconveniences. Despite that, the people welcomed and celebrated the flood because without it, the glorious civilization of Kemet, Nubia, and Kush wouldn't have been possible. So no matter what the floods brought, these civilizations were submissive to nature's processes, which were inseparable from the will of the gods. So this goddess that is associated with this, you may have heard a lot about, named Asherah. Asherah is also a content creator. Sprinkle Sprinkle. She named herself after, this goddess as well. So Asherah was the Canaanite goddess of heaven, trees, and maternity. Jezebel, the Phoenician wife of King Ahaz of Israel, was said to be a worshiper and possibly a priestess of Asherah. So, you know, this meaning, that's just the card that rules over this, of course, but the meaning of this is yield to whatever you consider to be the superior force said, that, the word submission doesn't have to be weakness. It's really just giving in to what you know the highest and the best of all will be happening for you, right? So when you submit to understanding that, okay, the highest and the best will happen for me, is really a submission of divineness. It's letting it wash over you and not like fighting against the ocean waves, right? That's what I think is nice about, this sort of a thing as well. And obviously, I like this card. This is a Gemini card, obviously, too. Just with the lovers, that two sides of your divine self, the two sides of what they say, the Gemini has two sides in them as well. So, what are you submitting to? What is your higher calling that you are being asked to submit to? Let's see, Gemini. Okay, the card that popped was the King of Swords. The King of Swords, right? So the King of Swords is that card where it's like, okay, I think these two cards coming out together is like really perfect, if you want to be honest, So the card of submission coming out with a card of leadership, a card of authority, a card of, being in control and being very logical. It's like in your personal life, you're like in your spiritual, and like when I say personal, I don't mean like personal that, everyone in your like outside of your work has access to. I mean personal, so personal that you don't tell other people about it. Like in your quiet moments, like even this moment, or when you're going to sleep, those moments where you're really analyzing your intentions and planning for what you want to transcend and what you want to move forward from. That is your personal life. It's not like, oh, people who know you from work or people who know you from home, whatever. It's really about personal, where it's close to you, and you have that meaning, that ultimate meaning that you can make, right? So in your personal life, you're very submissive. You're submissive over to that higher spirit. You're submissive to that overarching, you're submissive to that overarching authority that is, in your life. You're submissive to the spirit. You're not submissive to man or, anything in this personal, in the outside world. Because the outside world, in that sense, you're someone who is very objective in your ways. Like if you're in a project or when you're dealing with family or whatever, you're someone who is you're fair in all of your ways, but you're still like not letting another person control you. And it's very funny that these two cards came out together, and this card said a knee bent, so that's what it says when you're submitting to like a king. Your knee is bent in order to, go ahead and, say your vow to that thing. So it's like on the inside, you're someone who submits and bends the knee to spirit because you recognize something so powerful that stands over you. And then in your personal life, people, since you are so in such a submissive position to I would say, let's say, since you're in such a submission, a place of submission with spirit, people find it so easy to submit to you because you're someone who is very objective. You're someone who people feel like they can follow. You're someone who like other people feel like they really can trust you to make great decisions because you make great decisions for yourself, allowing spirit to help you out and take over in positions where you feel like they have that control. You are the one who is like, okay, since I can trust spirit, other people can trust me. Since I can trust myself, other people can trust me. Since and like they say, heavy is the head that weighs the ground, but in that same energy, it's like you are not given more than what you can bear. So since you have that ability to, since you are very objective, and since you are someone who listens to your gut, you're someone who trusts your gut. This is the reason why you have that ability to lead and really be someone of authority. us with money, with other things, and everything of that nature. So that's what I would say to you. Like, keep that same energy, and if you don't have that energy yet, build that within yourself. Build such an inner trust with yourself that the outer world really finds it easy to look to you as a leader, someone who trusts themselves. Other people, because a lot of the people in the world, they aren't sure about themselves. So you know what I mean. Other people find it easy to submit to you because you give them that sense of calmness where they don't have that within themselves. The more you cultivate that trust within yourself, the more people find it easy to look to you in times of trouble, or look to you in times of, just needing to know how to move forward. So keep that energy about yourself. Thank you so much, Gemini, and everyone who else watched the video, all my Aries, Tauruses, and Geminis. Thank you so much for watching. And when you have other, signs in your chart, I will be back to do a reading for those. So look out for that as well.